Tensions continue to simmer at the University of Cape Town. This follows a standoff between members of the University Council where a motion to instigate an independent probe was blocked by some members. Issues range from departures of senior staff members to the sabbatical by Vice-Chancellor Mamokgethi Phakeng following reports of alleged mismanagement. Joining us now to give insight into the troubles at the university is the council chairperson, Babalwa Ngonyama. Good to have you with us this evening, and thank you very much for your time. The version that's out on Sunday papers, and you'll tell me if you agree with it, and we'll give you an opportunity to give us your version of what's actually occurred here. But it's that a member of Senate read a letter from the former Deputy Vice-Chancellor for Teaching and Learning not following due process. The matter got worse when Council could not agree on the processes to be followed in tackling that matter, and then things just spun out of control. There was including a vote on this matter. 13 out of the 28 council members supported the launch of an independent panel. The chairperson had to come in because the vote was split, and which defeated the idea. But now we know that as of now, that particular decision of an internal process has been overturned to one of an external process. Is that the sum of it, or what is your version of what is happening?
Sure, Tabu. Good evening.
Evening.
And thank you for inviting me, man. Firstly, let me say this. I will be a bit limited in terms of getting into the details because of the subject of the matter, you see. But I will respond where I can, you know. But what I also want you to know is the fact that the university itself is in a good space. UCT continues to be the top university in Africa, and it continues to be recognized among the top rated in the global space, you know, and we will continue to focus on that as the leadership of UCT. What you see happening right now is a challenge around the change, you know, and as you know, change does come up with this. It brings fear, it brings anxiety, it has its own challenges, and so we're seeing things that festers. But what is great, though, Tabu, I must tell you, is that we have a massive transformative purpose at UCT, which we have all agreed on. That's one thing, at least, that is great about it. We have agreed on that. So now, what is becoming clear to me is the how, in terms of implementing that strategy. Perhaps it's something that we need to bring everybody along so that we remove these issues of fear. You see. So
you're saying things turning ugly at that meeting on the 30th of September is as a result, I suppose, of these teething issues around the question of transformation. Around
the question of our purpose, and the transformative purpose, by the way, is not just focusing on the transformation as in BEA that we usually talk about in the South African context, but the university itself has a vision, which is a Vision 2030, where we say we want to unleash human potential, you know, for fair and just society. Okay. And you can see then the complexities that may come with that, and the interpretation as to how then do you get there. Yeah.
So do you feel that you are being undermined as the leadership, woman, black, in that particular aspect of things and what you're trying to pursue?
I don't believe that it's undermining. In an academic space, you know, there's a lot of debate. An academic space is very robust. People question things. And it does not mean that they undermine or they don't believe in you at all. But it does mean that we must sit around the table, all of us, and find a way. Just going back to your question of the internal and the external process, for example. The issue there, again, it was two groups having differences of approach, if you look at it. So one group says an internal process will be more efficient, you know, and it will be less polarizing, and it will help us get into a reconciliation in terms of resolving this problem, rather than an external which may end up polarizing us, you see. So you see what I mean? Those type of debates, it's normal in any organization.
But I think the debates are given rise to by a situation where you presented a particular version of events around the continuation and renewal of contract of one of the Deputy Vice-Chancellors of Teaching and Learning, and a different version was presented, and people felt that that was deliberately done, one, to undermine your own leadership, but two, that somebody who is a non-Senate member was able to influence that Senate, points to a situation of there's still a continuation of privilege for certain people, certain race, and so on, certain gender, and so on and so forth. I mean, how do you read that situation outside of of course, the robust debate in academic circles is understood and accepted, but there is something that is obviously at play here outside of that many are pointing to that and they're raising to you.
It's I can say it's few people, Thabo. In each and every organization you do have people that are loud, you know, and sometimes you find that other people, they are just busy with other things, and then the ones that are loud then take the space, unfortunately. That's what happens, especially in a big group situation. So the unfortunate thing that happened at that Senate is the fact that when they felt that they had two versions, and then some individuals, again, not the whole Senate, some individuals took a view as to they know which version may be wrong. You see, and then they said, it's my version that is wrong. I was not even in the room, by the way. So those are the type of challenges that we have to deal with, whereby we say, that colleagues, we have processes here. If you are getting two versions, there is a process that should be followed as to how then do you get more information such that you can determine which version is correct.
Right.
You know? And you may find that actually these two versions are not even far from each other, you know. But when you sit around the table, you may reconcile and get to a situation whereby what you thought initially is a lie is actually not a lie. It remains a truth.
Some have gone as far as to say there is a plot to unseat the current Vice-Chancellor. Do you know of such a plot? Do you think this is part of such a plot? Seeing that she's on a research and sabbatical leave, they thought let them take this opportune time in her absence to almost come up with some kind of a coup.
Look, I'm not aware of that, but this investigation, I'm sure it will assist us in getting to the bottom of that.
And getting to the bottom of the matters is in your view, continuing with the current members who are there, or those who want to come back, or is it a complete change of new faces and new people that would be a part of that Senate and a part of that council?
I don't want to predetermine the conclusion of the investigation, because it is that conclusion which is going to guide us as to what needs to change within the university. If you note on my letter, I said the terms of reference of the investigation should include council, all councillors, it should include senators, it should include our multi-stakeholder institutional forum, which has labor and students, you know. So once you have the terms of reference that are comprehensive like that, then you have an opportunity then to unpack the challenges much easier, and therefore the outcome becomes much more robust and much more useful in terms of determining the way forward.
And you think that would be a much more useful process than what a 13-member subcommittee that would have wrapped up the matter much quicker? Both processes have pros and cons, you know. So, as I said initially, firstly, let me say this. If you listen to CCMA and you listen to the courts,
one of their biggest gripes is the fact that people run to the courts and CCMAs without exhausting their own internal processes. So that was the thinking here as well. But now that we are going the external route, which I support, so we will find a way of taking some of the advantages that you would usually find in an internal process and see how do we incorporate them. For example, the speed of the internal process is something that we want to see in this external process. We don't want a process that is going to drag as much as possible. So there's going to be a thought process around getting the best results out of this external process. And another a challenge sometimes with external process is that once the process is happening, people are entrenching their views in the organization. And by the time the result of the external process comes up, people are like, it's no longer relevant. They've made up their mind anyway. So we also have to find a way of managing that polarization.
Chairperson, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming. That is the University of UCT Council Chairperson, Babalwa Ngonyama.